Welcome back to the lower 48, my friend Dewey Freeman.
Thank you. Thank you. Just spent the last 10 weeks to 10. Whoa, I wish it would be 10 weeks. There's
Freud just slipped
there's a
into the
Freud
conversation, everybody.
Yeah, Freud just slid in. 10 days to 2 weeks up in Alaska, which was unbelievable. And I'm thrilled to be home. And I will be thrilled to be back in Alaska when we go back again.
Well, welcome back. I'm Mark Sylvester. We are the Elder Council. And while you were away, I was thinking, when I wasn't being jealous, I mean, just being able to unplug and you were seriously unplugged for 2 weeks like that is what a gift to give yourself.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking about, I had a conversation with someone about because you know me, I'm not ever looking in the rearview mirror and I can only see as far as the next couple of minutes, but I do plan, right, to do stuff. And I was starting to think about what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, because we talk about intention and being present and all that is, and it's like, what am I building? What am I doing? What's my mission? What am I, I'm such a goal-oriented mother, right? I just boom, 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 like that. And that is at odds with my age. While you were gone, I had a birthday, turned 69.
Okay.
And
Happy 69.
But I'm still 23 and in here, and I kind of look and say, well, did I build what I wanted to build? Have I finished building it? Is there something new to build? Can I stop thinking about building for a minute and relax? So all that is going through my head, and I'm reminded of the concept of momentum, which is math.
What do you mean by, talk a little bit about that?
So momentum is what takes us to where we're going, right? We need momentum to get that's forward progress, right? Which is and you're an engineer, and so you understand that mass plus velocity equals momentum. So we have a thing, us, in this case, us, and we have velocity, which is pushing us forward. That equals momentum. So in that conversation, which I thought would be interesting to talk about today, the mass is who we are. What do we bring to the table? What traits do we have? I'm diligent. I stick to things. I'm inquisitive. I'm curious. Whatever those things are. And we've talked about doing some skills inventory in the past, right? So you could think this was when we talked about a personal learning path, like do a very detailed audit, if you will, of here's what's working, here's what needs work. I'll blend another lesson in there. Here's what needs working. Here's what's not working. Like my anger is not working, or my snap judgment is not working, or my inability to trust is not working, or my cleanliness is not. Those are 4 that I have no idea what those mean, but those have moved from one column.
You're talking about a friend, not yourself.
Yeah, asking for a friend. So I've moved those from one column to another column, right? Right. Very, very intentionally. That's the mass. The velocity are the skills we pick up along the way that help us do what we do better, faster. And so I thought that would be it's for me, it's been so interesting. It is written on my board right over there, because I think that idea as one that I want to be conscious of all the time, to be thinking about what am I doing around skills. Doing a weekly show is part of my very deliberate attempt to be really much better as a as an interviewer, as someone who asks questions, who someone's digging into things and trying to look at all aspects. So that's enough of me setting up the context. Where does all that land with you, sir?
Well, what's interesting to me is with what you're saying is, and I like the way that you put it, is there's us and who we are, and then there's our skill set. And what I wonder about are two things. One is for those men who feel stuck, and literally from a physics place, not moving has its own momentum, but from a pure physics place, but feeling stuck is like not having any momentum.
Yes.
And a question that I would have with that is there no movement, or are there no skills, and or not enough movement or not enough skills? So which one of those do we, might we want to look at? The other piece that's been really interesting for me, and being out in the middle of the ocean this last week in Alaska, which was just mind-blowing. I've never been on water like that. I've never felt or seen rain like that, nor have I seen the whales and the sea life. That I've never seen that before. So it was like mind-blowing. A part of what struck me is I was actually trying to slow down. In other words, I'm trying to slow my momentum and find myself in that. And do I have the skills to actually do that? Because one of the things I sort of jokingly say, I've been trying to retire for 15 years and it's not going so well. And so what I'm become aware of is that I cannot just stop. And that means a lot to me in many different ways. So what I want to do is change how my momentum is working, change what the direction I'm going, versus just stop.
So if momentum equal in this conversation, momentum equals where are you going? So can all of us answer the question, where are you going? Where are we going? Where am I going? Will I know I'm there when I get there? It's a big one. And how will I measure my progress towards getting to that thing? And this isn't the most important, but it kind of is. What is the value to you of getting there?
So do you, the value of getting there for me feels more important than getting there, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, sure, because the value is what is the reason you're doing it. The getting there is just the conveyance by which you get to the value. Right. So you're absolutely right, and the measurement is just so you have. So we like scoreboards, right? So we know, hey, I'm halfway there. I can see the goal. I can't see it yet. I need to keep going. I need to persevere. I need to tap into other things like we talked about with the ethos, like my perseverance, my self-control, my staying on task, all of those kinds of things. However, if you do not have an objective, you will never get there. Pure and simple, right? And it's momentum that gets there, because momentum is, where are you going?
So yes. In the horse world, we call it speed, direction, and destination.
Okay.
What speed are you going at? What direction? Where are you going?
So speed is velocity, right? And velocity is do I have the skills? So in the case of the horse, is the horse capable of going whatever speed it needs to go for that particular time, either very, very, very slow or very fast to get away from something or whatever, right? Am I capable? If you're not capable, then because you know what direction you're going in, and I right, hey, I'm going to need to go get some skills. I need to go get a therapist. I need to go get a best friend so I can hang out and not lay all my shit on my partner. I need to go read some books. I need to figure out how to spend quiet time with myself. Whatever that is, you need to go acquire the skill you need so you have velocity. Otherwise, it's just your own traits, your own what you bring to
You're
the
just
table.
sitting there, not bringing much.
Yeah. I think here's what I love about our conversations. It's all the same stuff. We just talk about it using different words. I think it's the same stuff. And I think it's only at our age are we able to see it for its similarity and know that at times we need to talk about things differently to be able to either make a point or have the things settle differently so it actually makes a difference.
So it actually affects us differently.
Yeah.
So with all of what you're talking about, and as you were talking, which I love what you're saying, what strikes me is as we're moving towards something, what keeps us, the question is, what keeps us going? And what keeps me going towards something, whatever that something is, has to do with the relationships that I have with other people.
I'm going to yes and that.
Please.
Because we know that it's through relationships, not transactions, we get to the thing that means the most to us, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's the means the end. I would offer that if you have a clear understanding and appreciation of the value of getting the thing, whatever the thing is, goals can be little, goals can be really big, right? But it's getting to that object. Let's call it an objective, right? Mm-hmm. Where am I going? I have an objective of an outcome I want. I think if you have a clear, very sober view of the value to you, you will go towards that thing. And if you stop going towards that thing, it has no value to you. Therefore, you shouldn't be doing it. So for our listener who's been listening to our 51 episodes, one of the things that's consistent in how I think about life is, what's the objective? How will I measure my progress toward that objective? And what is the value to me of achieving that objective? Reduced down to 3 letters, OMV. And typically when we talk about it, it's, I want to understand the other person in the relationship's OMV. What are they looking for? How are they measuring that? What is the value to them? To see if I can participate in that journey with them. How can I help them achieve their outcome? In a business setting, it might be helping them in a business way. In a personal setting, it might be whatever that is, helping them get to that. one of the things that's rarely talked about in the OMV discussion is what's your OMV, right?
Well, exactly. And even in that, even if we have the concepts in mind of where we're heading, there's something about being in relationships along the way that helps us get there.
Without a doubt.
So your comment was that if we're not heading towards something, I think I understood this right. If I didn't, please correct me. Is that if we stop going toward something, whatever that something was that then we shouldn't be going toward it, or that's not really our goal, or something along that line. Did I get that correct?
I was responding to you saying if you get stalled along the way,
Mm-hmm.
then because a lot of times what'll happen is we stop paying attention to the goal.
Got it.
Right. We either stop paying attention to it or we're distracted from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would posit then you've not anchored the value enough to motivate you to complete whatever it is. An outcome can be as simple as I want to have a relaxing day off. That's my outcome. I want to have a relaxing day off. And what's the metric? The metric on that will be that at the end of today, because I want to have a very clear, the end of the day, I will be able to look back and say, I didn't think about work. I didn't check my email. I turned off all my notifications. I was really present with my relaxation. And the value to me is just have a stop and recharge. As goddamn goal oriented and driven as I am, taking a day off is, my higher order self knows that's really good for me. So do that. So that's the value, right? And then during the day, I can check that. If I think about work for a second, I said, okay, hold it. That's antithetical to what my outcome is today, which is to have a day off. And remember, the value of that is at the end of the day, I want to be able to say to myself, I didn't think about work. So my ability to stay on task is a skill that I may or may not be good at. I may have continuous partial attention, right? And so that's another one of my favorite words from Clay Shirky from 30 years ago, continuous partial attention. So that's not going to help me. So it's kind of all of that stuff. And thank God I meditate, because when I meditate, I can tell all those subcommittees to take a break.
Subcommittee this and subcommittee that.
Let the guy relax for a minute.
So I'm totally following what you're saying. And I love the continual partial attention.
Yeah. CPA, continuous partial attention. And it's he posited this 2-3 decades ago, that one of the challenges we were going to be facing as a cultural challenge is our inability to concentrate. Continuous partial attention.
So what helps us concentrate then? What helps us keep our attention focused? My hypothesis is that it's relationships that help keep us focused. It's that actually continuous partial attention actually, I believe, if I'm in my visual scenario here, I believe causes isolation.
10,000% correct.
And it's like that piece of reaching out and finding relationship to help us keep moving, to help either cheer us on or give us input, or even I mean, you have even done that with me along the line of going, take your time, you don't have to get there today. It's like, oh, okay. So I want to throw another piece in here because I think this is, just for no other reason, is totally interesting. Do you know who Boyd Vardy is?
I do not. The name is being written in the book, though. Vardy with an I or a Y?
Y. Vardy, I
Got it.
believe. Boyd Vardy is a man from South Africa who has written a book called The Lion Hunter's Guide, or I'm trying to remember if it's Lion Hunter or Lion Tracker, but I think it's The Lion Hunter's Guide to Life, basically. And he literally has been a lion hunter in Africa, and grew up doing that, grew up on his family's like hundreds of thousands of acres ranch, where that's what they did. And in his adult life, he's actually turned that into a sanctuary. But he literally talks about the idea of tracking, right? Literally lions, and how that's done, and what you're looking for. And it's fascinating. And he shares numbers of his stories along the way. There's an amazing podcast that he does, and he also has a book called that. And part of tracking in his world, and the saying that he brings is, I don't know where I'm going, but I know how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a fair point of view, right?
Right. So I thought I would throw that out, and sort of a bit of a juxtaposition of, oh, we need to know where we're going. And how do we work with both of those? Because there's so many things, especially from a creative perspective, that we don't really know where we're going.
Keep going.
Otherwise it wouldn't be creative.
I'm understanding the juxtaposition very clearly, because in improv, if I have a goal for where I want the scene to go, like, my scene partner's come out and has just described this safari suit that I'm wearing and how jealous she is of this, I may want to take the story on safari, where in her mind, her story is, we're getting ready to go to a Halloween party. So she has an idea of where it's going to go. And this is fully creative. And I have an idea of where I'd like to take it. And I'm going to say something. Yes, it fits me lovely. It's so silky. I got the one that was extra soft. And then that may throw her off of her Halloween thing. But now the goal is just to be hyper present. And I think that specifically in the creative arts, I agree. Yet I'm thinking of my friend who's a potter. So I'm going to make a pot, and I'm going to do these things along the way to making that pot. But this serendipity comes in, right? The happy happenstance comes in, the way the glaze reacted differently today because of the humidity, or the way it's like that. So I take your point that you want to allow room for that to happen, or to say, I don't know what's going to happen. We're like on your hikes, right, in Alaska, like you had no idea, but you knew. See, this is a conundrum. This is what you Zen guys call a cone, isn't it?
A cone.
Cohen.
Oh, Cohen. Oh,
Am I right?
I don't know that I've used that word. Keep talking a little bit.
Well, it comes from Dr. Keith Witt. He would just, it's a thing to ponder. Right? I think we've uncovered a thing to ponder. Like, do we plan and be so driven and so fixed and one mind? That would be, so if we draw a curve of this, that would be on one end. That's unshakable. I'm going like dog with a bone, right? That's the dog with a bone.
Right.
And then there's the happy wanderer. No fucking clue, right? That's the other end. So I think that me as a moderate, I'm going to live somewhere in the middle of that.
Middle of that.
Yeah. I think maybe that's what we've gotten to.
Well, what I wonder about is if in some cases creativity is the goal.
Fair enough.
And truly, I did not come into this discussion with preconceived whatever's here.
We never do.
We never do, which is sort of to my point on one level. But at the same time, we always have an overall perspective of something that we're trying to bring.
Yeah.
I think the other piece, and the biggest piece I see with people, is that we get ourselves stuck when we get ourselves isolated. Our momentum ends or fades or something when we get ourselves purely isolated. It doesn't mean to me that there aren't times where you go, lock yourself in a little room and write for a number of hours. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when we don't have input,
Here's an example.
Yeah.
That proves your point. So I work with someone who will take on too much and will be stymied by overwhelm. So we all know people who overwhelm. And when they keep that to themselves, they're stuck. They can't move forward. There's so many things to do. I can't do any of the things. So I am stuck. Without relationship, that person stays stuck, and it's very frustrating. However, with relationship, someone to talk to, I'm an example of someone to talk to, just by saying I'm stuck. So now, so what's instead of just immediately solving the problem, I said, what's the outcome? I'd like to not be stuck. Okay, so how would we measure that? Seeing that things were getting done and I was making some forward progress, great. And what would the value to you be? I would get rid of this feeling, number one, and I would replace it with a sense of accomplishment, and now I'm moving again. So without that relationship, if all I do is help, hey, let's just make a list of all the things and let's pick the first two and go. But without a relationship, if you're the Lone Ranger, you don't have anybody in your life that you can call at 2:00 in the morning and go, fuck, I cannot sleep. I can't figure this out. I'm fucked. Right? I need just listen. Even if all I need is I just need you to listen. Right. Then back to your point, I'm just proving the point that yes, relationship is really that unstuckable, that thing that unsticks us.
So going back to the physics
Bring it home, Doc.
of mass times velocity equals momentum. Some energy has to affect the mass to move it.
Which is the skill, right? So that's the right, because the mass is the lump of clay that we are. And I go learn a new thing, like right now I'm trying to integrate a new kitten into our household, and I want a happy household. And so I'm reading about how to do that, because I do not know how to do that. But my mass is one of curiosity and wanting to learn to solve problems and not try to, and know that it's really solving this problem will have a great outcome for us. We'll have a nice, happy household with our pets. We'll coexist. And so, but the skill, I don't have the skill. Like, should I reward the cats or challenge the cat? Like, this is a serious thing I'm actually living through right now, right? But that's, to your point, it's like you identify a thing you need and go get that skill so that you can keep the momentum, in this case, of the relationship between the animals. See, all this stuff all comes together, Doc. It might be a pedestrian example, but it's
I absolutely love it, because here's the biggest thing. It just like hit me, kaboom. You are 1000% correct when you go, yeah, we got to have the skill. What I see men do is that they try to get the skill without having a relationship. They try to get the skill from an isolated place. You went to books, probably maybe some YouTube videos, talking to friends, and then, you being down, working with the new little kitty in your life, and then your other two cats. And I have no doubt that all of that is taking place with many discussions with Kimberly about your house, your cats, where are you going to be, where's she going to be, how are you going to work together, all of that stuff. So what I want to suggest, and maybe that come home with, is that it's a skill within relational process that keeps momentum going.
Let's let everybody chew on that for a week.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you, my friend. I sure love our conversations.
Me too. This makes my